I'm in the process of cutting material for the new lid. I'm going to need 2 layers of material. The top layer is obviously going to be 1000 denier cordura, just like the rest of the bag. I considered making the bottom layer of material 1000 denier cordura as well, but 1000 denier cordura is a pretty heavy material, so I don't want to add unnecessary weight to the bag. So I'm looking for an alternative. I definitely want to use something I have on hand and not something I need to order. I have a few different options, none of which are perfect. I do have a little bit of 500 denier cordura left, and that will be lighter than the 1000 denier cordura. The problem is I don't have a piece big enough to fit the same dimensions that I cut of this 1000 denier cordura. I ended up going with starting off with a piece that's 12 inches by 14 inches. It'll probably be trimmed down later on in the process, but that's where I'm starting off at. I did cut a piece of 500 denier cordura that's the same size. The problem is it's missing a section here. But I figure this layer of material is going to have a zipper installed in it to make up a zipper pouch within the lid. And once I install that zipper, it's probably gonna lengthen a little bit, and then I'll be able to cut this section off here, and if it doesn't line up perfectly with the 1000 denier cordura after that, then more than likely I'll just trim the 1000 denier cordura. I was also considering using this polyester material that I salvaged from a suitcase that was being thrown away a while back, and that would be a good option, but this is a pretty light material and I want the lid to be very sturdy. This would be a good option though. The problem is that it's been sewn through before. It is salvage material, and the bottom layer of material is not only going to make up a zippered pouch, but it's also going to add in water resistance. So if it starts raining on top of the backpack, I want the lid to be able to shed water and not have it go into the bag. The 1000 denier cordura already does a pretty good job of that, but the more it gets saturated in, say, a heavy rain, let's say I don't have a pack cover on the backpack, the more it gets saturated, the more likely water is to go into the backpack. I don't want that to happen, so the bottom layer of material is something that needs to aid in the water resistance of the backpack. And this being sewn through before, and it's not exactly the most water resistant material, I ended up not going with this. It would have been great though, because there actually is already a YKK zipper installed in it. That would save me the trouble of having to install one myself. But I think I'm going to go with the 500 denier cordura. As I stated in my last video, I want to make the new lid similar to this lid on my Blackhawk butt pack, where it's got this fold of material near the edges here to give it a little bit more shape. You see they folded the material and sewed it in sort of a triangle. But you'll notice that this Blackhawk bag only has one layer of material. So I was trying to decide how best to mimic that shape using 2 layers of material, and ultimately what I came up with was to sew the same triangles, roughly the same size, in both layers. Now, had I sandwiched both layers together and then made that fold and then sewed through it, the pocket would probably not be as large. It would probably be as large, but it would have that seam going through the pocket, which means that when you stuff something up in there, that's going to be in the way of a larger object, so you're limited to the size of the distance in between these two seams. So I sewed that on both sides of the 2 layers of material individually.